Well, he always has that cool demeanor. He symbolizes hope, and he's got that legendary shot, and he is always just a ray of sunshine. And it's certainly something we could use right now as our society gets through what it's getting through with the pandemic. Tyus Edney, a legend, a deity when it comes to the NCAA tournament for what he has done. Thanks for doing this.
Oh, no problem. You're too kind.
I just speak the truth on this show and this podcast, and I've looked up to you for so long. And my first question for you, Tyus, and I'm Bryan Fenley, and again, so glad to have you here, is how does a 4-year-old self like yourself from Compton become a megastar in the NCAA tournament and make a shot that will go down in the tournament's lore as maybe the best ever pulled off?
That's a great question. I know at 4 years old, I never thought that would happen. But just, I guess growing up and playing, you always want to have a moment like that. And just, I think something that kind of lives on in, at least in LA history or UCLA history. And like you said, NCAA history. So it is like a dream come true, especially to end your career kind of on a high note like that and having a moment like that.
It's crazy to think that it's been 25 years since that has happened. And I saw recently, Tyus, that you guys all got together, part of that 95 national championship team, and did a Zoom chat. And you all reunited through the virtual way. And with Steve Lavin being an assistant coach at the time, did he let anyone else talk during that Zoom session?
Yeah. It took him like 30 minutes to figure out how to get on, but then, that was a lot of fun.
What were you guys talking about? Rehashing old memories? What was it like to connect with all those guys again?
Oh, it was great. It was great. I think just the memories, it's all the memories that you have and just the crazy times. Just remembering all the stories and things that happened. So it ends up being really just a laugh session of everybody laughing crazy stuff that we did. But it was great I know it was virtual, but it's hard to get everybody together. And it was awesome that so many of us were able, to get on that call and just see each other. And even though, it's not physical, but you can still see everyone's face and it's good to see everyone's doing well.
What was something fun that you guys maybe talked about during that virtual session that happened during that season that was funny, that maybe it happened during a game or during a practice session or on the team bus or on a plane where you all look back and giggled, or a moment like that stood out to you that you're like, oh, yeah, I remember that. I remember that.
Oh, my God. It was a lot of them. I think it was a lot of it was our freshmen coming in with their energy, and seems like every other week they had a different crew. They nicknamed themselves different things. A couple of them that were just basically in the weight room. They're like, oh, weight room. So like stuff like that. On the hallways, weight room. Like, oh my God, these guys. They had a crew, and then they had breakups, and it was just like like that, and people out. It was just little stuff, just
for sure,
things in practice that happened. It was a lot of them.
Well, it was really cool because I had Chris Johnson on a couple of days ago, and I asked him about that game against Missouri in that final play, and he's taking a little bit of credit for the win. I said, how are you taking credit for the win? You were not in the final play. He said, I'm superstitious, and the way I put the towel around my head, the way I positioned it, has been, I think, a big reason to why we won. How much are you buying that, Tyus?
Hey, I buy it. They had their whole towel crew, and I remember all the pictures of them, and that just speaks to the fun that we were having that season, and even down to superstition of how the towel was around his head, and how it just all kind of worked out in the end, and it was just a lot of fun.
How has that shot against Missouri changed your life in ways you never imagined?
I think at the time you just don't realize how that's going to impact
people's
memories and lives, and it's just something that I think as the years go by, you realize how important it was for all the Bruin fans and just fans in general. Even people that weren't UCLA basketball fans. I mean, I think a lot of other states, people in other states, they really took to our team, and I guess they liked how we played and how we played together, and just how we were on the court, and even a moment like that is just something that you don't realize people will remember for that long, and how important it ended up being.
Missouri goes up by 1. You guys call a timeout, 4.8 seconds to go. You get into the huddle there and diffuse seemingly the terror or the horror of going down and giving up that go-ahead bucket. Who stepped in during that last timeout before you got the shot off and instilled some hope and said, guys, let's not get too overwhelmed here. We still got time on the clock. We can still do this thing.
I mean, honestly, it was Coach Herrick. It was, it's something I learned over the years. Like when you kind of see a coach panicking or you see him react to everything, I think that carries over to the team.
Sure.
I just remember walking, back to that huddle was a long, long walk. It seemed like because we were on the other. I think our bench was on the other side too. It was like, oh my goodness. But then when you got to the huddle, you kind of expect to see panic on the coach's face, and he was the same as he always was, and just gave us the plan, and he just basically said, Tyus, I want you to shoot the ball. I want you to make the play. And obviously I'm like, you sure about that, coach? Because all year it's been Ed, so and I've told a couple people, Ed is, when we got out of the huddle, he's like, give me the ball.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah. So, that's just, it was Coach, Coach just had that calm demeanor. Like, there's no reason to panic. We'll figure this out.
You know who wasn't asking for the ball? It was really cool. We had J.R. Henderson on, and he was describing his vantage point of that final play. And he remembers being underneath the basket and praying, Tyus, do not pass me the ball. Please do not pass me the ball. I promise you, it's not going to work out. So his prayers were answered thanks to you. I've also heard that in that huddle before you got the opportunity to make that basket was that Ed also said, hey, we're going to win this game. So you called game with your game winner, but he predicted the win during that timeout. Is that something you heard kind of when he was with the guys in the timeout?
That was a feel coming out of the huddle. Everybody, come on, it's like, come on, all right, we got it. We're going to win this. Come on, That's kind of how we were, I felt, all season. I mean, not like we were undefeated, but even in the tough games, I thought we stayed together. And that was key for our success, is just being able to stay together in tough times and in tough situations.
Tyus Edney joins us, Bruin basketball legend, on the podcast. And fast forwarding to the national championship game, and I know you wish you were able to play a bigger factor. What went into the couple days before that game where you were enduring some injuries and you had to find ways to try and play, but it was a hard thing to do, a tall task?
Yeah, it was. I heard it in the Final Four game against Oklahoma State. And finished that game, but didn't realize, when the adrenaline's going and you're in the moment, you don't realize how severe it is. And I just knew, even in that game, that as it was getting pretty stiff, and good thing they didn't know that, because they probably would like 20 feet. But just going into that game, it was a moment before that game that I went over to Cameron, because I was doing everything I could to get my wrist ready. And I just, I went over to Cam, and I was like, Cam, look, I'm messed up, man. You got to be ready.
Sure.
He kind of just pushed me. It's like, whatever, man, come on. And I was like, no, Cam, listen to me. You got to be ready. Like, I'm messed up, So he was like, all right. I don't think he would believe me, honestly, until I came out of the game. And it was almost still, he was like, what are you doing? So it was tough. I appreciate Coach for giving me a chance, but I knew that I was a liability on the court. I had one hand, so that 40 minutes of hell is not going to work with one hand.
But you altered your role. So even though you were on the bench, I could tell that you were mentoring Cam and coaching him up and trying to instruct him and help him along the way. And I know early on when he got in the game, he looked maybe a little bit nervous. But what did you tell him to calm him down? Because eventually it looked like he got in a groove and got comfortable out there.
We all were encouraging. Cam, he played great for us the whole season. And it was just reinforcement, like, Cam, you this is what you do, you know what I mean? And just telling him, being confident, being positive with him and everybody on the court. Because once I became the cheerleader and I guess a little bit of coach, because you're still in the game and you're yelling and it's like you're in the game. So he was amazing. He just did what he did all season, just ran the squad and was a leader out there.
And you becoming a part of a team that wins the only national championship other than what John Wooden has done. I had a feeling, just if we didn't have this stoppage at the end of last season, that this Bruin team we had this year might have been able to make some noise. What do you think is the reason why it's been 25 years? You guys had a magical run. There have been times where UCLA, and you've been on the coaching staffs as well, where been so close. What do you think's getting in the way of this team getting over the hump and getting another title?
It's tough now. It's tough. I mean, it's nowadays you almost have to have upperclassmen. I think just the state of basketball, and I'm not saying that that's been the case for the last 25 years, but Coach Allen had great teams and we're right there, but it just proves to how tough it is. Things have to go right at the right time. You know what I mean? Like the Missouri, that's got to go right. And it's just been, a tough road to try to get back. And then, UCLA, you'll get top talent. You have opportunities to bring in top talent. And now it's, how do you keep them? You know what I mean? Like,
with the G League and all that stuff coming into play.
Yeah. And I was there with, Lonzo Ball and Leaf and those guys. And that was a team I felt that reminded me a lot of our team that would have a chance.
Interesting.
But now you have that team kind of breaking up as freshmen, doing 1 year, and a couple of the main guys, 3 of them actually left. And so bring that team back in another year, and it's like, my goodness, with experience and what the tournament is and what it means and just all that, it's tough to see that, but that's just the way it is now in the game. And you almost, you have to either try to win with somehow keeping good upperclassmen or have young phenoms, like Kentucky did that 1 year. But, you see it's tough. Even Duke with one and dones, they're not keeping some of theirs and win again. So, there's no price you can put on experience. So, I feel like now, especially the more experienced teams you have, the better chance you have.
Yeah, we see that in teams like Villanova over the last couple of years, where they've had some experience with their guard play as well. And there's still, like you said, a level of legendary status with UCLA. Where do you think it stands, the program, over all of its years in relation to the Dukes of the world? Do you feel like it's right there? Do you think it could get back there if it's not? Where do you have it amongst all the great programs that have ever graced college basketball?
The school it's built on basketball, and that's our reputation. And I think just the body of work of Coach Wooden and what we were able to do will keep that going. Now I think it's been a little bit of an adjustment just with the scope of how basketball is now. And it's I don't think it's just us. I think there's a lot of great programs that have found themselves in the kind of in-between state. It's like, all right, so are we going to be a one and done type of school? Or are we going to
Interesting. Yeah.
And so it's almost like a little strange middle ground where, a lot of the schools, if they're able to keep a couple of those guys, maybe one more year, then they're in contention. And so, it's like, it's a little it's really tough to figure out kind of which lane you want to go in, because now I think you're almost forced into a certain lane. And so, but I think the opportunity and the ability to get back there is still there. I think we still are one of the top programs and should be.
Yeah.
Just hopefully we can kind of figure that out and start getting back to where it has been.
Your coaching background, even with UCLA, and I'm sure you've had discussions with players when they have those thoughts that come through their mind. Hey, should I go pro after my freshman year? Through all of your experiences handling all of these different debates with players that you've coached, how do you approach conversations like that?
I mean, honestly, you just say to the player, I mean, do they feel honestly that they're ready?
Sure.
You have to give them confidence that you believe in them, obviously, and that they can do well and make it at that level. So it's tough to say, hey, come back when you know that a player has an opportunity to help his family.
Sure.
So you want to encourage them to reach their ultimate goal and fulfill their dream. So, I mean, that's also kind of one of the reasons they come to UCLA is they have a platform and to where they can possibly go and be a pro. So, it's kind of really individual. It depends on the player and kind of where he is. And we've had since I've been there, we've had a couple come back for that next year after they just kind of talk to everyone and at the end of the day, it's their decision, their family's decision, and some I think have made the good decision to come back, and it's tough to go and be a one and done and be successful. So some have a little harder road, but I mean I feel like they're all talented enough to make it. It's just, once you get to that level, it's it's big time level. So everybody's great. Everyone was a great player on their team or high school team or wherever they came from. So you're competing against the best of the best. So you have to kind of be ready for that and prepare for that.
You now are transitioning into a different role. Obviously, you have such a love for coaching. Give us a sense of what you're doing now with UCLA and all the responsibilities and things that are keeping you busy.
I'm still athletic department. So still get to do all the events, football, basketball, all the other sports, things like that. And I'm actually helping to, it's part fundraise, part alumni. So I'm trying to help to engage alumni and just help them in their after life, basically, after they UCLA and connecting with our alumni base and just different things like that to try to improve our network and just kind of help our student athletes and former student athletes in their post athletic career.
Sure. You guys do such good work with that. All the basketball players I've talked to that maybe got a chance in the NBA, it didn't work out, but there's such a fraternity, such a networking power the UCLA basketball, but also UCLA athletics has been able to do to help the student athletes, and you've been on the front lines of that. My last question for you here, Tyus, is you are a very easygoing guy. So when was the time in your basketball career that you remember when you were the angriest, where you were the most fired up that you've ever been?
Pro career also?
Yes, anywhere.
I probably, when I was in Italy, I played in Italy for several years. And one year when I played for a coach, he was excellent coach, just to say, he's an excellent coach. He had won championships before over there and things like that. He was from Yugoslavia, which, former Yugoslavia. So I probably was the guy that was the voice of the team.
Okay.
But and I know people never believe me.
I was like, wait a minute, is this the Tyus Edney we know? Wait, hold on.
Yeah. I was the one that, because the reputation is he's a tough coach and he likes to work the players pretty hard. And so we were working so hard, in my opinion, and not just mine, but the whole team, that we would perform in the games. And so we would be good for about a half. Then the second half, it would be a disaster. Like our decline was like, we hit a wall. And so that was a frustrating thing for me because I don't like to lose.
Yeah.
So, I became the voice to go to the coach, and everybody else seemed to be a little stuff. So I would be the one that would have our little shouting matches.
No way. I could. But you had the thick skin. Ultimately, you had the thick skin, and you had to speak up for the team, and you have a story to tell.
Yeah. I know. No one ever believes it, but
well, you heard it here. It is truth. It happens. Tyus, thank you for doing this. It was a whole lot of fun, and I know Bruin fans will love this because it'll give them something to take their mind off, what they're going on in their own lives right now until we can get sports back and Bruin athletics back and rolling. And I hope I get to see you on campus once they reopen things here in the next couple of months, hopefully. And this was a lot of fun. Thanks for doing this once again.
All right. Thanks for having me on.